Welcome back to the YouTube channel, welcome back to Twitch. We are now doing a research pyro ship guide as well. Now, again, this is my subjective feeling about certain ships, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna go over each one of them. Even if I don't have them, I played them, or for example, on my press account back in the days, so I can judge them. So just keep that in mind. Again, it's my subjective feelings. Some people might agree, some people might disagree. We're gonna go over it, but let's get started. So, the research pyro, which are pyro category, which you can find in the armory, is only gonna be unlocked to you when you have 5 tier 10s. So in case you don't see this, that means you don't have 5 tier 10s yet unlocked. So keep that in mind, that's when you see this, because there's gonna be a lot of new players who don't see this. And they are probably wondering, where do I find that in the armory? I don't have it. That's due to not having 5 tier 10s. Or it's 4, but I think it's 5. Good. So, we're gonna go over all the ships. It's quite a few. Some meme ships, some pretty strong ships, some decent ships, some not so decent ships. But we're gonna start on the top with Sicilia. Now, when Sicilia was released, I don't know how long that is ago. It was a pretty cool ship because it was Colombo that gave up SAP, but it had AP and HE. You had a bit improved secondaries, although they're not really that good. They should actually buff them, to be honest. They're like actually pretty bad. But what made Sicilia so cool in comparison to Colombo is that you had faster cooldown on the smokes and longer duration on the smokes, making you could make some really cool plays. However, Sicilia is completely power crept since Colombo got buffed a few, like last year around with the, since Colombo got multiple buffs, Sicilia is insta power crept and not worth getting it at all, because if you just want a 16 barrel Italian BB that slaps, take Colombo, it's the best BB currently in the game. Enough said, pretty much. Also, even though it also has the improved gun angles, on the third turret, you have the second, I can show it to you in port. On the third turret, we have this secondary gun in the way, meaning at close range, you cannot aim as good as Colombo because this secondary gun is blocking the third turret. So keep that in mind. You don't have that same perfect angle, especially as close range as Colombo. So it can be a fun ship to play around, even like with the secondaries, although they're not really worth it. Like, the problem with the secondaries is it doesn't have improved dispersion. It's just, hey, you get SEP secondaries, that's it. But it's not improved like Schlieffen or Libertad, for example. So, and they also have less range. So I would definitely not recommend this ship, especially for this high price of 62,000. Now, next one is gonna be Gibraltar. And in all honesty, I think it's also not worth getting at all. I think, in fact, it might be the worst research bio ship. Let me explain. Now, Gibraltar is pretty much, you could say like a smoke-ish Goliath. You have 12 guns, just like Goliath, but instead of having four turrets with 3 barrels, you have 3 turrets with 4 barrels each. The problem is, and there it starts, you have the same guns as Goliath from the caliber, 234 millimeters. And what this ship tries to do is, it's only AP, and you have improved angles on it as well, and I think short fuse as well. I'm not sure about the short, yeah, it has short fuse as well. Pretty much, like, you have only AP and smoke screens. Your hull is far less durable, and you don't have a super heal. So, and you don't have torpedoes as well. So, you give a lot up for having smoke screens and these improved AP shells, pretty much. The short fuse and the better AP angles. The problem is, if this ship is spotted once, you will pretty much all the time go back to port instantly. It's super easy to citadel, regardless of the angle. You can be overmatched by 240 millimeter guns of cruisers already, because you have 16 millimeter bow instead of 25. So, super squishy. And your gimmick, the smoke screen, is not that cool because your smoke firing penalty sucks. Your smoke firing penalty is over 8 kilometers, meaning, like, where you actually want to support your team, you need to be sitting the whole time in the back, and then people can react on your shells the time, and you don't get that damage over time because you also don't have HE. So, in fact, I think this is, unfortunately, in the current state, one of the worst RB ships in the game. You don't really Like, you don't have a reason to play this, for example, over a Goliath. Because the smoke screen is not working that much. You have less HP, you have less armor. You don't have a super heal. You don't have an improved deck armor as well. And you don't have the HE alphas from Goliath. You also lose torpedoes. So in all honesty, this is not really a good ship. And I think it's the biggest money waste you can go currently. Now, again, there's got to be a few people who think it's a cool ship and they perform with it. But from my personal opinion, playing it on a few times on my press account back in the day, there's a reason I didn't buy it for research barrier points. I legit don't think it's a good ship. It's just bad. I bought it and regret it after the Colombo buff. The ship is so bad. Oh, you mean the Sicilia, but I'm talking about Gibraltar right now. So not really worth getting it. I can show you in port also what I mean with the armor. Oh, actually it has 25 millimeters. Since when? Did it always at 25? I swear it didn't. Okay, I'm taking it back that it can be overmatched by cruisers, but did it also get buffed in the armor department? It used to have less armor. Huh? Did they actually buff the ship when it comes to armor? I'm pretty sure the armor looked different. Good that I checked here. We need to test it at some point again. Still, you give up a lot for it, guys. The problem is with the guns, you have quite long reload. You don't have HE. And my point still stands. You still have that awful smoke firing penalty. I need to check though, because they changed the armor. I'm pretty sure. This was not the armor when it was on release. I'm pretty damn sure. I'm pretty sure this was not the released armor. Anyway, I might even get it now because this looks different than I remember. But my point stands. You give up too much for having only AP in that department. Moving up to Van Speijk. Van Speijk is pretty much Harlem, one tier higher. It's the same hull. It gets a bit better gun reload, I think. The problem here is though, you don't really gain much. You get more range on your airstrikes as well. You have 15 cam range. But other than that, it doesn't really bring anything to the table as well. You only stay with the 203s for having a bit more range on your airstrikes. We can go here, even you can see it. We have still the same range as the T8. The gun reload is not that good. The camo looks pretty good. Gun reload, nothing special, and your airstrikes. You have even only one attack flight instead of two, like on the other Dutch ships. So that's really, really, really bad. Not a big fan of it. Also, the reload is really long with 130 seconds. So overall, also not really a good ship to get. Moving over to Slava. Man, we're only getting the weaker ones, and then we're gonna go to the more crazy ones. Slava. Now, Slava is a big gamble ship. Following reason. In theory, when you are always in the right position, but people suck in this game completely and not paying attention to you, Slava is an amazing ship. You have insanely good accuracy on long range. You have the best penetration on BB guns on tier 10 pretty much. Very fast shells and insanely good accuracy on long range. Now the problem is, and here starts all the things, that's in a perfectly optimal world. Even if people show perfect broadside, there's gonna be a lot of moments where you will just not be able to get the citadels. You just hit like 12k salvo, I don't know, you get overpens. So not even with this insane dispersion, you always guaranteed smashes if people show broadside. It's most likely gonna happen, but you also got dropped sometimes. You only have 9 406mm guns, which is pretty much really bad. Like when it comes to alpha strike potential, this is one of the worst BBs at 10. You have longer reload than the standard 30 seconds. And you don't bring any overmatch to the table in form of 30mm. So as soon as people start angling in against you, your ship is gonna be far worse. You also have 25mm bow and stern armor, meaning you can be overmatched by all BBs in the game pretty much on tier 10, besides Mecklenburg, for example, but that's just HG spams you to death. And again, like, in an optimal world where people show broadside the whole time and you can catch them off guard, it's great, but as soon as people react to it, it's even the worst BB then, because not only do you have only 9 shells, it's only 406. You don't have 30mm overmatch, you have longer reloads, so it can scale from an absolutely amazing beast to one of the worst BBs instantly within seconds. It highly depends how the enemy is playing around it. And also, once you get close, your absolutely horrible horizontal dispersion kicks in. And when people are coming in towards you nose in, you will lose a lot of shells to the left and right. The vertical dispersion, which is usually the more important one, is absolutely amazing on the ship, but the horizontally sucks. And as soon as the people come into your nose in or angled in, you will not land as many shells anymore because they go horizontally all over the place. Now on longer ranges that doesn't really matter that much because they're more tight and you want to aim on the waterline to get the sits. But the closer they get, the opponents to you, the more worse it scales up as well. So, unlike back in the day when it was released, and I think it was even called Pobeda, where there was 27mm armor all around the cruisers, where this was a nightmare to fight, it's not as good as people make it anymore. And in fact, I really don't think it's a good ship. There's far better ones, like there's Vermont, that pretty much guarantees you smashes on the ranges with the overmatch as well, plus more shell volume. There's stuff like Colombo, of course, which punishes you at any range, to be honest. There's Wisconsin, which has the good accuracy all across the board, short, medium, and long range, while being pretty much citadel-proofed. So a lot of ships that kind of power crap the Slava, so I don't think it's really worth getting to it. And even, again, if people do mistakes, you're not guaranteedly getting punished on, get a punishing shot on them. Now we move to Irresistible. That's one of the newest RB ships in the game, and it's one of the most toxic ships in the game. In case, if you ever thought it was bad burning down by a Smolensk from back in the day, welcome to Irresistible. We have a battleship with 16 guns, 234mm. Between Goliath and Prince Vanrania when it's sitting to like this is the same caliber as Goliath and Prince Vanrania, but the shell performance is in between. Like the AP pen is way better than a Goliath, for example. This thing has a just over 10 seconds reload, has a crawling smoke screen, and a smoke firing penalty of around 10 kilometers. So you have 16 guns that can spam around 10 to 11 seconds, 16 HE shells with 39mm of pen, or 16 AP shells. This is one of the most frustrating ships to fight again. This thing can rack up damage numbers so quickly, it's not even funny. In fact, as soon as you have to push into one of those, good luck having any fun in this game, because he will farm you down crazily. Even if you don't have with this ship a smoke screen available, you are still a battleship. As long as you're fully angled, you're not really getting punished that hard. However, I want to clarify that this thing has a massively exposed citadel. You can even see it on the picture here. So once you show broadside to BBs or even certain cruisers at short ranges, you can get citadel to oblivion. So you have to pay attention to your citadel, to what can potentially shoot you, but you do have a smoke screen to play around it, and even if you don't have one, you as long as you're angled, you can still farm insane amount of damage. It also has very good concealment, the ship in general, with around 12 km-ish. Let's see, where's the show the port thingy again? Oh, I have it already. Okay, never mind. So it's an insanely good ship to get, and especially if you love huge damage numbers, this is your ship. Impact-wise, it depends. If you can play it aggressive, which is not that easy because you will get punished rather easily, but if you can make to play it aggressive, it can have its impact as well. But especially on a defensive position or when it comes to farm raw damage, this thing is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. One more thing that is bad about it though is the turret angles suck on it. Since this is like a Marlboro hull, you will notice the turret angles suck extremely. But hey, you do have decent ruddership for that, and again, good concealment, so you don't care that much about it. I think it's one of the best RB ships getting currently. And like, if you ever thought this Smolensk would be frustrating or pushing into a Colbert or something, you have not seen this. This thing is absolutely atrocious to play against and very relaxing to play yourself. So if you're looking for insanely good damage farmer, Irresistible is it. Just keep in mind you have a huge exposed citadel and then you're good. Absolutely recommended. Super strong. In fact, I think it's too strong. Next one is Ohio. Now, Ohio is a ship I always recommended, and I think it's still one of the best BBs when it comes to jack of all trades. Why? This thing can do everything, but not perfect. It has 8 guns, 457mm, good accuracy, decent reload. Now, it also has improved secondaries, which have pretty good fire chance, and you also have a 40-second heal cooldown, which means you get rapid heals up again. The downside is, it's a bit slower, the ship. It's not that fast. It's only in a medium area when it comes to speed. And it also has a Monty hole, which means you have a waterline citadel and you can get punished, especially if you turn out and lift your citadel, you can get punished very easily. Now, again, this thing can do everything a bit, or everything decent, but it's not perfect in any regard. Yes, it has overmatch, 30mm, and yes, it has good reload, but it has only 8 guns. At the same time, the dispersion is pretty good. Secondaries are not as good as Libertad, for example, or Schlieffen and so on, but you still have the range and improved dispersion. Basically, it's a ship where I would recommend a hybrid build. You just build to secondary range, and the rest you put all into survivability and the gun accuracy. You can play it a bit differently than most other BBs with the hybrid build on the range. So you have like 2 flamethrowers on each side with the secondaries. I still think it's an absolutely amazing ship because it can do everything a bit, but it's not perfect in any regard. And that's what makes the ship so great, because no matter in what situation you are, you need to push. The ship can push. You have fast heal cooldown. You are pretty tanky if you're angled. You need to kite away. You have secondaries. You have decent gun accuracy. You have good turret. You need to go into a brawl. You need to be careful there, try to not get hit on your waterline, but you can pretty much do anything with the ship, and that's what I love. It's like a true Swiss knife when it comes to this, and I would definitely, if you're looking for a battleship that can work in pretty much any situation, Ohio is your thing to get. Now, again, it can do everything, but not as good as other BBs in their simple regards. Like, I would still say, for example, the Colombo is a far better ship. I would say Irresistible is overall maybe better ship. But Ohio is great because you can play it in all, like, you can play it in all regards. And that's what I like it. Like, I never have a situation where I feel uncomfortable with an Ohio. It's just a ship that never really disappoints you because it can do everything, which is very, very nice. And in fact, if it's your first choice and you just want to get a BB and RB, I would get Ohio before Irresistible even, because this is a very one-dimensional playstyle. This is also a very one-dimensional playstyle. And with this ship, you can play it across the board all around. And that's what I like. No matter what the situation is, Ohio can somehow work. You also have decent A, although the CV player will not care too much about it. But Ohio is probably the best jack of all trades BB in the game currently. Next one is Hull. Now, the USS Hull is a very interesting ship. It's the destroyer of the biggest guns in the game. It has 203mm guns, pretty much Des Moines guns. Improved AP angles, fast reload on them, and also I think they're a bit faster when it comes to shell speed. The downside is you have only 3 guns and you don't have a smoke screen. This ship is in fact a Forest Sherman. When you see it like this, it's a Forest Sherman hole, but instead of having the small SEP guns, you have the big 203mm guns. It can be hilariously fun to play from time to time, but wait, my game just crashed. 1 second.
No. Just resubbed for 8
months. It can be hilarious to play from time to time, especially if you support surprise cruisers from the side and Citadel into Oblivion. However, it's pretty slow. It's not that fast. And it's not very beginner friendly because you need to play it around without smoke screens. Once you are more experienced in the game though, hull scales up crazily. You also do have a super heal, which is very, very nice. And this ship can be an absolute nightmare to fight. It's a very good farming ship. And again, at close ranges, you can just nuke certain cruisers with the AP. The one thing I personally don't like I feel like single gun turrets are always a bit iffy to aim on these, but that's just my personal preference. It has nothing to do like with the ship itself. So that's what I don't like about it. But if you're more experienced in the ship, Hull is extremely strong and can be very punishing. You can smash people, you can spam people with the HE, get quite a lot of fires, and once they show broadside, you can also get huge chunks with the AP. You also have 2 torpedoes like Forest Sherman. They're fixed though, so not really worth it, but you have them. And again, you have a lot of HP as well. and you have that super heal. Plus, with your speed boost, you can also, unlike Sherman, this thing has a speed boost, so from time to time you actually have decent speed and can also duke some shells, so keep that in mind. Fun boat, especially if you're a better player, very strong. If you're newer to the game, a bit harsh to play, I would say. So, depending on what stage you are, although when you unlock the research bio, we have 5 tier 10s, so you could argue you're already a bit more experienced, but this also scales with player level. I think people who are more experienced in the game can do much better in hull than people who are not that good in the game. However, still fun boat and can be hilarious with the big guns. Moving up next is the Brennus. Now the Brennus is, Kevin, thank you for the 8 months by the way. The Brennus is pretty much a Henry with battle cruiser guns. And you have a lot of downsides to it. I'm coming to it. Upsides and downsides. So basically what you have is a Henry, but instead of 240mm 9 guns, you have 7 305mm guns. At the beginning, this sounds like cool. You get like these massive guns, and they also have decent, like good accuracy. Now the problem starts to occur though. Since you have 305mm guns, it means you're counting as a battle cruiser. That means if somebody smashes you with HG on you and you burn 60 seconds. You do not burn the normal short duration cruiser times anymore. You have 60 seconds fires on you. You also don't have a hydro on the ship. And you also have only 7 guns and no reload booster. Now, the gun reload overall is pretty good. But you don't have that, this moment where when you are a Henry player and an enemy cruiser or BB does a mistake, or DCPs or whatever, that you have that reload booster to either set multiple fires or Death Striker with the AP. You don't have this funny button. You don't have this reload booster that can, from time to time, smash an opponent rather quickly. Now, the upside of these guns is, again, you have insanely good AP pen on the 305s here, and they are very, very easy to aim. So, you're giving a lot up for guns that are very, very easy to aim, and that have pretty good AP performance, although the 240s from the Henry also have insanely good AP pen, to be honest. One thing that's also different to Henry is you have an additional top launcher on each side, meaning you have 6 instead of 3 torpedoes per side. You have 2 launchers per side. Overall, I think Henry is the better ship, because the reload booster brings more utility and having the hydro. Meanwhile, here you have neither of them. If you want to play on range and you're looking for a ship that is fairly comfortable to play, I can still recommend Brennus though, because again, the guns are far easier to aim than Henry. They're like kind of rail guns, in fact. They're not as floaty as the Henry shells. However, Henry is overall, I would say, the better ship in comparison to Brennus, because for Brennus you give a lot of things up. So it gets for me also recommended, but keep in mind that I do think that Henry is a far better ship overall. You give a lot up for these easy to aim guns. Now again, in the current meta where you fight on longer ranges mostly with cruisers anyway, or playing it extremely safe in the passive meta, this ship is great, but Henry is better. Moving next, we skipped something, sorry. Moving next, we have the Sevastopol. Now, the Sevastopol is a double-edged sword. In theory, when you look on paper on the ship, it sounds all amazing. 380mm guns, improved AP angles, long duration heal, engine boost. You get everything pretty much on the ship. But there is a lot of lousy things that kind of ruin it in that way. You have pretty accurate 380mm guns with improved AP angles. Sounds amazing. To an extent, it also is pretty good. But you pay it with a very, very long reload. You have 22.9 seconds of reload if you build into the reload mod with these 6 guns. You also have a hull which is covered in 30mm of armor, so not unlike most other Soviet ships on tier 10 with 50mm. You have 30, meaning high caliber bees will chunk your HP down like nothing. You also have no torpedoes, and your heal is a long duration normal heal. Basically, it's a zombie heal. Unlike super heals, which you click and they like go 2k HP, 2k HP, 2k HP, and you're done in 5 seconds or 10 seconds, or 20 seconds, whatever in regard. This heal heals for nearly a minute, I think. I'm not sure how long it is exactly right now, but it heals for very long duration with normal times. Like, You get like your 300 HP or whatever it is, percentage based on the ship. Like a normal heal, but it's extremely long. So you can heal like a super heal when it comes to the amount of damage, but it takes way longer. And again, your guns are a double-edged sword. Once people are angling in, your poor DPM, your poor reload is making the ship very frustrating to play. And also, while you do have good concealment, you are pretty sluggish and you're big. So once the BBs just hit you in settle mess, you will lose so much damage. It's crazy. It does sound on paper really good, but once you play it, it is fairly frustrating. And especially if people are angling in, you have only 380s, so you don't even have the overmatch on cruisers and so on. So it's not that good of a ship. Like it can be really frustrating to play. So I will say, in fact, I wouldn't recommend it unless you are swimming in RB and you have nothing better to get, and you want something unique Soviet-ish, what we don't have in the game with this. But I really don't like it. And the high survivability is kind of a lie here, because you get overmatched by high caliber BBs crazily, which chunk down like instantly a lot of HP from you. So it's not recommended from my end. Colbert. John's favorite ship. So, Colbert, first of all, absolutely fun ship to play, but instantly gonna say it's highly skill dependent on the player level. This ship is not for people who are inexperienced playing open water light cruisers. You can also play around islands and so on, but this thing is all about having that insane DPM while having a fast speed and speed boost. You can duke shells, you're going forward, you can use terrain around you. This thing needs absolute peak battle and map awareness. If you are a really good player and you can make it work, Colbert can be an absolute nightmare to play against. However, it has a huge skill ceiling, so I personally think this ship is not for like 90% of the player base. I'm just saying it like this. 90% of the player base cannot play Colbert. They will just get death struck instantly and get smashed, because unlike Smolensk, you can't really show broadside with it. The AP will arm on your citadel and you die. So this ship is only there for you when you feel comfortable with playing with a light cruiser in the open around and use perfect awareness of your terrain. It's a strong ship, it has insanely good HE DPM, it has ridiculously high AP DPM as well at close range. You get citadel cruisers at short range crazily. But it's not at all beginner friendly. So keep that in mind. I personally recommend it if you know something about the game, because it can be absolutely fun to play and super rewarding if you play it correctly. But if you're not really comfortable with playing on a light cruiser like this, it's absolutely awful for you. So I recommend it because I like playing it. I'm performing pretty well with it, but it does have an insanely high skill ceiling. So if you look for something easier, Irresistible, Ohio, and so on, not there. So keep that in mind. But it's a fun ship. I definitely recommend it. Now we go to the Druids. That's one ship I will not recommend. I don't like the ship at all. I perform decently with it, but I think it has too many drawbacks. Druid has insanely good AP DPM. In fact, it has probably the best AP DPM in all the cruisers tier 10 DDs, not cruisers. You have two turrets in the front which have insanely good AP performance and insanely good reload as well. The problem is, your ship is slow. Your ship has really bad concealment. You have only guns at the front. You have no torpedoes. And you have only AP. This thing has 6.6 km concealment if you build fully into it. Your max speed is around 36-ish. I'm not sure knowing the exact value right now, but I think it's around 36. So it's very, very slow. Your turrets are getting knocked out really easily. And again, you have your turrets only in the front. No torpedoes, nothing. If a BB player sees you in a smoke, you just started farming a bit, and he sees you, he can push you without any consequence, nose in. Yeah, you can shoot a bit of superstructure, farm him a bit down, but as soon as he's nose in, your AP DPM is not gonna be that effective anymore, as it might be from the side where you land more shots. In a DD fight, every DD with remotely better concealment can outplay you super easily by just keeping you lit and you can't catch up to him. And in case you're running away from a DD, You can also not really run away because you're super slow. This is purely a farming ship that plays very selfish, but it doesn't bring anything to the table. Yes, you have a Hydro, but the Hydro is only 3 km and you have short duration burst smoke fire, but that's not gonna help you. And the heal also doesn't really rescue you. You will lose your turrets constantly if the people aim for it, and then you have lost your main armament pretty much. Now with the next patch, you cannot lose turrets permanently anymore, which happened on Druid before it quite often as well if people aim for it. But they will still be knocked out for multiple seconds. And you don't have any other damage source. Plus, if you kite away, you need to show a lot of the broadside to use your guns backwards. So I think Druid is one of the worst things you could personally get, because it doesn't bring anything to the table. And it's not really a good ship in my opinion. The hilarious AP DPM doesn't make up for how shit the ship is in all other regards, in all honesty. Now there's gonna be a lot of people disagreeing with it, and they can disagree with it, but I think it's a bad ship. I think it's just a very selfish ship. It's bad. And you also have ships like Gdansk, for example, or Colbert, which will eat this thing alive and also don't really lose anything in form of DPM or Maso. So Druid overall, not really a good ship. Vampire 2. Ho! This, on the other hand, is my second favorite DD in the game. My favorite DD is Georg Hoffmann, by the way, in case you're wondering. But Vampire 2 has a special place in my heart. I love this ship. I love it with a passion. In fact, for me, it's one of the most fun destroyers to play in the game. So, you get a daring hull with 1 less torpedo launcher. You have the same gun layout, 6 guns. The guns are having, you have more DPM on the guns, they reload a bit quicker than on the daring. And you have a crawling smoke generator with a 5 km Hydro. Now, if you compare to the daring, you lose the heal, but you get a longer range Hydro, and you get, instead of getting short burst smoke screens, you get a long duration crawling smoke. It's player dependent what you like more, but I just love the Vampire. You have insanely good gun DPM, you have okay torpedoes, which can help you as well because you have 12 km range, and it has the one thing that it takes the one weakness of daring away. It has the speed boost. You're not as slow as daring because you have a speed boost from time to time, and that gives you nearly 40 knots of speed, which makes it far more playable than daring when it comes to speed around. However, there's one drawback to daring: you don't have a heal. You need to keep that in mind. Every HP you trade is gone, unless you play arms race and you have a heal there. But basically every piece of HP you trade away, it's gone. You can't heal it up, unlike daring. So I still love this boat. I think it's one of the most fun ships to play. You can farm for multiple minutes. You can outplay enemy DDs with the Hydra. You have insanely high gun DPM. The AP is great. The HG is great. So overall, absolute fun DD for me. But you also need to know when to use your crawling smoke and when to use your Hydra and so on. But once you master it, I think it's a hell lot of a fun ship, and I definitely recommend it because it's a bit biased, but it's my second favorite DD in the game again. Absolutely love to it, performing extremely well with it. Super fun ship to play. So Vampire 2, absolutely recommended, highly recommended. The first DD I would get out of Research Spyro. Next one, we have the Illinois. Now the Illinois is a pretty spicy thing, because you have pretty much, you are in Iowa, but instead of having 406mm guns on tier 9, you get 12 203s with improved FP angles. So pretty much 12 Des Moines guns. The only difference is you reload every 10 seconds instead of every 5 seconds, which should be clear because this is a tier 9. Illinois, or 9-second reload, I'm not sure right now. Illinois is an absolutely amazing ship when it comes to farming down opponents and brawling. This ship has, unlike Iowa, also a different citadel. The citadel is underwater, meaning it's extremely hard to citadel at close range. So it has way better citadel protection than Iowa when it comes to that. You do have less HP than Iowa, quite a bit. So keep that in mind though. You give up a lot of HP, but again, you have cruiser DPM. I always think like these BBs that have cruiser DPM but a BB hull are extremely strong because they take the weakness of the cruiser away, which is not having a tanky hull, but you still have the cruiser DPM. So 12 Des Moines guns, 203s, improved AP angles. You rip cruisers apart in close range, and you can just HG spam BBs on long range down. This thing also has a lot of range, so you're not even giving up on that department. And overall, It's a great tier 9. It's a great tier 9 to farm credits with. Remember, it's a tier 9, so you get improved credit income with it. And if you're looking for a good credit farmer, that's hilariously to play due to having that fast reload. Also good in operations, by the way. Illinois is a fantastic ship to get. And it's definitely recommended from my part as well. Next one, Siegfried. Siegfried is pretty much A gear, but instead of having 305mm guns, you get the 380s of a Bismarck, like those kind of 380s. They do have pretty good accuracy, but just like with Sevastopol, you do have the problem that you only have 6 guns with rather long reloads, so the reload is too long. The one difference though that Siegfried has over Sevastopol is it's covered into 90mm plating at the side, meaning it can side angle quite well, unless the BBs aim for the deck. The deck is 30 again, and there you can be overmatched. So if a BB player has no clue, you can kind of bait him into shooting a side armor, and it will ricochet. However, if they have any clue, they aim for the superstructure and the deck in the middle, and you will still get smashed. Another advantage over this ship towards Sevastopol is this is a tier 9, so you can potentially also face tier 7s, and when you fight tier 7s, Siegfried can be actually pretty strong. Because first of all, you overmatch them with the guns, and they're extremely accurate. You're also tanky and have quite some HP. You also have 6 cam torpedoes and 6 cam hydro, so that's kind of nice. Secondaries are not really worth mentioning though. Overall, it's an okay pick, but it would also be one of the last ones to get in my opinion. As I said, the reload of the guns is the main issue, and that it can get absolutely destroyed by high caliber BBs just like Sevastopol. You also have only a normal heal and no improved heal like Sevastopol on tier 10. But again, it's a tier 9, so I need to be fair here. It's a tier 9, not a tier 10, so it needs to be judged a bit differently. But it's alright. It's okay. Just like Sevastopol, it's okay. Even though it would be also one of the later ones I would get personally. In fact, tier 4 tier, I still think it's a bit better than Sevastopol even. Now, Hector. Hector is a ship that you can actually see on my YouTube channel right now. I made a guide about it. So if you check on my YouTube guides how to play ships, I just made a Hector guide already. Hector is an underrated ship in my opinion. It's also not really played at all. You rarely see a Hector in game. Most people even don't know what a Hector is. I had today somebody in chat asking what is even a Hector. Hector is a light cruiser which has a lot of small guns. A British hull, like British light cruiser hull, means you have a huge exposed citadel, and you have all these small Dido guns. I think they're what kind of caliber are they actually? Does it say here? Where's the show import button, man? I'm at dump. Why don't I see that anymore? You have the ship already. Let's quickly take a look at it. Tier 9. They're very small, the guns. They are 133mm guns. Good. So, the reload of them is alright with 5.9 seconds. And the range is also okay. However, the guns have basically no real AP penetrations. And I love how my armory is not working right now. GG. The guns have no real AP penetration values. So you tend to spam way more HE. You tend to only spam really HE because the... Okay, the ships are gone now, GG. You tend to only spam HE because you have decent fire chance and float the arcs, but the problem is you don't really have any AP value. Unless you're at point blank range, you never really shoot AP with the ship. Now Hector also has great concealment. Great concealment. You also have 8 torpedoes per side, which are 12 km range. Your concealment is 9.4, I think. Yeah, 9.4 km. Your torps are 12 km range. You have a crawling smoke, and you have a 3 km hydro. So this thing is also it's a ship that can be played with the concealment aggressive, but at the same time, it's very good at a defensive approach, especially if people push into you. You will just completely farm them down. But the further they're away, the more frustrating it gets because you do have float the arcs. So it's not like a one-side wonder that I can say, wow, the ship is absolutely amazing. You also need to get used to the float the arcs of the 133mm guns. But again, as I said, it has a lot of torpedoes per side, 8 per side. It also has how many guns does it have? 7. You can use, I think you can use all 4 on max range. The closer you get, you will only be able to use 3 guns here though. On an angle, you can also use all 4. And then you have here another 3. So it's a pretty good ship when it comes to spamming down the enemy with HG. As you can see, 8% fire chance is not bad considering the good reload of 5.9. 15.6 km range doesn't sound like a lot, but for a smoke spamming cruiser it's more than enough. And you also have, again, very, very good values when it comes to speed and concealment. It also has... No, there's ship-based SW. That's one downside. You do have ship-based SW. That sucks a bit. Against submarines, this ship is pretty bad. I must say. That's the one thing I don't like about it. Against submarines, it sucks quite a bit. Because you have only depth charges and not ship-based SW. Or, no, plane-based SW. And your hydro is only 3 cam range, so that's only self-protection, nothing more. However, it's the British hydro, so it's gonna be very long. As you can see, the consumable action time is over 200 seconds. And your crawling smoke screen is also over 2 minutes, so very, very good. Anyway, the last ship that I cannot show you right now is Paolo Emilio, because the armory broke down, apparently, exactly in this video. Let's see if it maybe works now. Is Paolo Emilio back? Yeah, okay, good. It works again. The last ship of the line is Paolo Emilio. And this is the meme ship when it comes to Research Biro. Paolo Emilio is, or also called in the community as YOLO Emilio, is pretty much an Italian cruiser that has an Italian DD, that has a lot of HP, shit concealment, and an exhaust smoke generator. And you have insanely strong torpedoes. They don't have a lot of range, but they have insane alpha capabilities. So what you basically want to do with the ship is, you see a BB, for example, in front of you, you smoke up, you rush us down, you torpedo it, and turn away. But in an ideal world, you don't get spotted at all, you don't lose any HP, and you repeat that step with cruisers and BBs all the time, even DDs. It's all about rushing down opponents and hoping to not get caught with it. The problem is, most people just rush down and go for a 1-for-1 trade and die afterwards. Effectively, you want to not get spotted to get the most out of it. Your guns are actually not bad. You have 8 guns, and they have even SEP, so you can get insanely good salvos out of them. However, the smoke balloon of the guns is pretty bad, and the reload is also awful, so you're not gonna like win open trades with this too much. But again, a lot of HP, also improved armor. And the YOLO potential. It's more a meme ship. I don't think it's that effective, especially if you have a lot of raiders or hydros in the game. It's kind of useless. But if you have these opportunities where you can lure around and go for a cruiser while he has no radar or hydro ready or battleship, you can absolutely smash the opponent. If you do it correctly, you're not even losing a single bit of HP. However, the sad part is people don't get that. They go for in and they die usually with the YOLO. That's why we call it YOLO Emilio in the community, because most people with it die instantly after they YOLO'd as well. If you do it right though and time the smoke screen perfectly, you can get YOLOs off without really going down on it. Great ship for fun purposes, but effectiveness, yeah. Personally, I think even it's a bit brain dead. Like, it's so highly dependent on the matchmaking. Like, as soon as you have, for example, 3 Hydro DDs in the enemy team, or 1 Raider DD, 2 Hydro DDs, and 2 Raider Cruisers, this ship is pretty much useless in comparison. It's really depending on that as well, on the matchmaking. And it's very one-sided pony. Like, it's a one-trick monster. Like, it either works or it doesn't. And you can't really adapt your playstyle. It's not very versatile. You just need to go for these rushes to get the maximum out of the ship. So, if you're looking for a hilarious ship from time to time where you push in, maybe get a big chunk out and get a life out of it, it's a fun boat. Other than that, I would also recommend it later because it's nothing more than a meme pick. I hope you enjoyed this guide though. We covered all of them individually. Again, I'm sorry about the Gibraltar part. They must have changed something about the ship because I remember it used to be far worse on release. So we might actually get it. Although even now, with the downside it has on smoke firing penalty and so on, I would probably still not recommend it. But we'll give it a try. I might buy it at some point and we're gonna do some games on it. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And that was the Research Biro guide for you. Have a good one, your travelers, and out. Bye bye.